Peter, thank you so much. And another big story is the World Economic Forum currently taking place in Davos, Switzerland. It's launched what they call a Reskilling Revolution, an initiative to provide 1 billion people with better education, skills and jobs by 2030. The scheme aims to future-proof workers from technological change and also help economies by providing new skills for the fourth industrial revolution. Our reporter, Diabo Seto, is in Switzerland for us, and she joins us now live. Diabo, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for coming through. Now, fill us up with what's been happening since this morning.
Palisa, thank you very much. Yes, so I was actually talking to a couple of people here, and I was talking about how the World Economic Forum, whether it's in Africa or here in Davos, is not just a one event where you have one session. In fact, you have up to maybe 3 to 6 sessions run in parallel, but all the topics seem to be very interesting because it doesn't only focus on the economics of the world, but you also have issues on health, you have issues on climate change, as is the theme this year. You have issues on job, as we are about to speak about that. You have issues on technology and the impact of the fourth industrial revolution, particularly on jobs. And I thought that was quite interesting, the report that was issued by the forum today, the skills revolution, that talks about, creating jobs, 1 billion jobs by 2030. I know that for a population of 55 million in South Africa, having jobs would be, a welcomed initiative. But also there's an issue about technology and the fourth industrial revolution and how people are prepared for that, if they are prepared at all. People are very jittery as well, Palisa, about the rate in which this fourth industrial or even fifth industrial revolution will impact on jobs. They probably think that they will not have jobs in an era where there are no jobs in South Africa. But I have invited Oliver Cann, who is with the department, with the World Economic Forum, the communications department, that is, to come and chat to us about this report and tell us about what actually they have found with this report and how it was compiled. Oliver, thank you so much for making time to speak to SABC News. This is a very interesting report, creating 1 billion jobs by 2030. Is this a possibility?
Well, thanks very much for inviting me on today. Look, we would not do this, launch this scheme if we didn't think it was possible. I'll tell you why I believe it's possible. But first of all, let me tell you a little bit about the thinking behind it. So we first started getting worried about the risk and the threat of robots and technology to the global workforce back in 2016. I remember it was right here at this very meeting 4 years ago. And the headline we had then was that we believed in America, 5 million jobs, I believe we said at the time, would be lost due to robots and automation by the year 2020. Now, we haven't done the numbers yet, but I think we're pretty much on the money. But we're not the kind of organisation to just raise a red flag and just let people kind of get on with it. What we want to try to do is understand the problem. So we've gone away. We've done a lot of work around this. We've first of all, we decided let's have a look at what kinds of jobs are going to go. What are the most vulnerable jobs? And then we tried to kind of calculate the number of new jobs that would be created. And what we found out was very, very interesting. We're looking at the fourth industrial revolution. We talk about that a lot. The emergence of new technologies like AI, big data. But we've also got other big trends coming. We've got the green growth revolution, which we know is around the corner. The big theme of this meeting is, how do we build a sustainable world? You need technology, you need to change the economy, you need to invest in renewables, etc. etc. You have shifts in the global balance of power and geopolitics. We have trade, divisions, and maybe the US, China is a good example of that, where we're seeing supply chains be kind of reworked. So there's lots of threats and challenges to the global labour force. Nevertheless, we found out that pretty much twice the number of jobs will be created for every job lost as a result of automation. That's the good news. The less good news is we don't have the skills for those jobs yet. So what we need is a massive task, and this applies to every country in the world, a massive task to bring the skill level of employees up to date and ready for the fourth industrial revolution, ready for this new decade. So the idea here is what can we do? We realised quite quickly after about another year of analysis that the private sector wasn't going to pay for reskilling everybody.
Yeah.
We realised it's going to be too expensive for governments to reskill everybody. So what do? We put everybody together. This is the nature of our platform. It's a platform comprised of governments, so we have collaborations with a number of governments, I think between 10 and 20 already. I'm very, very happy to say we're talking to the South African government this week. Very, very relevant to South Africa. It's also a coalition of companies as well, so big organisations that are already doing quite a lot of work. Now, the reason I believe it's going to be successful is that if you add up the schemes that are going to be on this platform already, we're already touching 250 million workers worldwide. So there's a lot of work already being done. And we're talking about skills, but we're also talking about better education, and we're talking about better jobs. So, we've got a lot of work to do, of course. We need more people on this platform. We need more industries involved, more companies, more governments. But we've got a pretty good starting spot.
Talking about reskilling of workers, it leads me to want to pick your brain. You obviously are familiar with the jobs landscape in South Africa. We're sitting with an unemployment rate of around 29%, but we have a very active labour sector. Unions are quite active. I wonder if this initiative has rethought or thought about the role of unions and how they should be helping to reskill their very members so that they stay in employment, so that the future of unions itself is sustained.
Absolutely, that is a very, very clear message. I'm glad you brought that up. And also, can I just add, we do collaborate, we do work with labour unions and movements for workers around the world as part of our platform. This is not just about government and business. We also seek the consultation and the advice from our friends in the labour unions, many of whom are here this week in Davos. Look, my message is a very, very positive one, but it's one which is also must be very carefully worded, right? So through our analysis, which is available on our website, it's called The Future of Jobs, we understand that anybody who goes through reskilling will earn more money. Sometimes quite a lot more money. We do lots of different pathways. We calculate. We look at if you're working as a mechanic, what kind of skills you can need to kind of upgrade yourself to the next level of professionalism, the next level in your career. There's always a payoff there. You get more money. The better skills you get, the better more money you get. That's good for governments because that means more tax revenue. So there's a very, very virtuous circle here. The big challenge, of course, is getting people to embrace change. The greatest fear we have is the workforces. They don't want to change. They're fearful. They're worried about their jobs, and they kind of bury their heads in the sand. There is, if you're willing to kind of look at what it takes to prosper and to really kind of increase your prosperity. There's a great opportunity out there.
I think this is also a very good opportunity to speak to our viewers who may just started a new academic year in university and probably not sure, some of them maybe in matric, on what kind of careers can they be looking for when they think, or looking towards when they think of taking certain courses, so that they are skilled enough for the future.
Right, good point, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to give my advice. My first advice is to look at our website, because we are, in fact, today publishing a report called New Metrics for Employment in the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Look, we all talk about STEM. STEM is a very, very overused term. It's important. We're all going to have to become familiar with technology and mathematics, engineering, but human-facing skills, the human-centered skills, such as human resources, such as working in the media, such as relationship management and sales. They're also going to be really, really important. So if you're contemplating a career and you're not particularly technically minded, I wouldn't worry about it. We're not all going to be data scientists. And in fact, a lot of technology, a lot of data scientists, and a lot of AI work will become possibly more vulnerable to displacement than those with kind of real human skills that machines can't do. So if you want to future-proof yourself, think about what skills, what are the skills out there? What are your strengths? How do you make the best of your strengths and kind of create the kind of skills that nobody else can do? Human-centered, very, very good, very positive one. So build on your personality. In working with people, it's very good.
Oliver, thank you so much. I really appreciated this chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Balisa, that was Oliver Cann. He is with the World Economic Forum, giving our viewers who, particularly the youth who are thinking of changing careers, to think of the future. He says, building up on your personalities and going through their website, you may find some valuable advice. And with that, I'll hand over back to you in studio.
All right, many thanks to our SABC News reporter Diabo Seto, live from Davos, Switzerland, attending the World Economic Forum for us. We'll certainly be crossing back to her throughout here on the SABC News channel for the latest.